I've been having this kind of internal battle about music and messaging and the power of the word, and you tend to have a command of this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering how you evolved, or did you evolve, or did you start out, because you couldn't start out with
Yeah.
Tommy Boy out the box understanding the power of the words that came out of your mouth.
No, it took a long time. It's an evolution process. I feel like we have spiritual awakenings. I had spiritual awakenings.
What happened?
Um, well, the first one is when I stopped drinking. That was almost 8 years ago. It was like I just woke up one day and I had like an overwhelming feeling. It's time to stop.
So take me back the day before.
Okay.
All right.
I don't
What were your days like when you were drinking?
Yeah, nobody ever asked me that question. That's an interesting question. I don't remember exactly what I was doing exactly at that time. I know I woke up in a hotel room. I remember being in a hotel room. I remember being in New York. I was in New York. Yep, I was in New York. Not saying New York has anything to do with anything, but
They got some lit bars. Were you drinking in bars, or was it like you had somebody go to the liquor store, and what was your drink of choice?
Oh yeah, in every situation I ended up drinking. But yeah, I was drinking tequila, Patron every single day. I think I had to do 106 in Park that day.
Okay.
I had to do
that was a
106
while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost 8 years ago. So I had to do 106 in Park. I woke up in the hotel room, and I remember my good friend Marshall Eminem. He told me like,
Marshall Mathers.
yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend. So like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before that, I was in Detroit and I was in his office, and I remember him saying, "You know, if you ever feel like you got a problem, you can call me, right?" I was like, "Okay." And it kind of bothered me because that's all he said. It was like he planted a seed, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, cool. So I kind of thought about it, and then I thought about some things my mom said over the years, some things my dad said over the years, my wife said over the years. And then I just woke up that day, and I remember it was just like a feeling. And I'm kind of a universe hippie in a way, you know, like I kind of like to follow the signs. And I had already crashed the car before. I had already went to jail, but I did a year for drinking and driving.
You did a year in jail, and
Right
that didn't stop you.
Nope.
And I think this is an important conversation to have with Royce the 5'9", and we'll get into why he's the 5'9" in a second. But you know, there are people out there right now, and you know, I have this mission. You know, I want everyone to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. I just had a retreat in January, and it was really powerful. And you know, as I was planning the retreat, I was thinking, you know, what can I do to change the trajectory of people's lives to a positive place? And it's hard to wag your finger and tell people, you know, you should stop doing this and stop doing that, because nobody's gonna listen.
Right.
It's going to take something in that person to make that decision, right? So your mother couldn't tell you, your father couldn't tell you, your wife, people you love.
Yeah.
And this is what I want for people who are in people's lives and you see them going down the wrong path. There's really nothing you can do but drop the seeds.
Yeah, because we process it as complaining. And I mean, whenever I'm talking to somebody, like if I'm sponsoring somebody or I'm talking to somebody like in the sobriety world, I always tell them you have to be ready. You know, like you got to be ready. Like they ask me, like, how did you do it so easy? No, it wasn't easy. I just was sick of it. I was tired of it. You know what I mean? Like I was at my limit. I was at like mental rock bottom.
So physically, because you're in good shape. You know,
Pretty good shape.
See some
I'm
videos.
out of shape. I'm out of shape, but I'm
right
pretty
now.
good. Yeah.
You say that, but you still look good.
Thank you.
Videos though I've seen, you keep it tight.
Yeah.
But during the time that you were drinking, you were keeping it tight. So there had to be kind of a weird balance that were you working out and drinking, and like how did you balance that?
You know what I would do, and this is another thing that prolonged the alcohol tenure for so long, because I was like, I would stop for like 6 months just to work out, just to get in shape, so I could turn it on and off. It's just that if I take one drink, I'm going.
Done.
I'm going.
Done.
I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm going. I don't just drink a couple drinks responsibly.
Right.
I have no idea, no concept of that at all. So I actually look, when people can do that, I'm actually like, wow, that's
so you could just do one drink.
Pretty
and
cool.
That's
you can do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so yeah, that was my problem. So like the fact that I could turn it on and off, and then when I went to jail, I got out on work release for like the last 3 months of the year. I was on work release and I was going to the studio every day. No problem. I was writing raps, recording raps, didn't think about drinking. And after I got out, I didn't start back drinking until maybe 2 months after that.
But then when you started back, it was
all systems go, just like how it was before. You know what I'm saying?
Now, did you see any physical impact? Because you were still relatively young. You know, and I think people don't understand the cumulative effect of the things that they do in their youth. You know, like you may not see it until you hit your 40s or your 50s.
Yeah.
Were you feeling anything physically when you were?
I wasn't feeling anything physically, but I went to the doctor when I stopped. That was like one of the first things I did. I went and got a therapist, and I went to the doctor. And then when I went to the doctor, all levels elevated.
Everything.
Everything. It was like, you came in just at the right time. He said maybe 6 or so more months of the way you were going, probably would have had to put you on the donors list.
Wow.
Yep. So he was like, it's good you came in when you did.
Your kidney, jack, liver.
Kidneys, livers, everything.
Oh, man.
Kidneys, liver, everything. They call it level. I don't know exactly what that is. I'm sure you know.
No, I don't know.
You know,
I'm trying to find out.
It's like numbers. It's like numbers for each organ, and it's like the levels are elevated. I've seen it happen to somebody else too. I don't know what they're like measuring. I don't know if it's like cirrhosis or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but he said your levels are elevated. That's what I remember him saying. And he gave me a printout. He gave me a piece of paper, and it had numbers, and all the numbers were higher
than
like
what it was supposed to be. Here's normal, and then here's you.
Yep. And he was just like, 6 more months, buddy. 6 more months.
So when you decide to stop, and again, it wasn't just cold turkey. You said you had a therapist, and this is important. It's Wellness Wednesday too. You ain't know that. You ain't know you were coming in on Wellness Wednesday. We're gonna do this on Friday to surprise Lamont King, who you went to school with, and that's weird. It's a weird. Life is so weird, right?
That's my boy.
Yeah. So you called somebody. How did you know who to call? Because that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like in hip hop, you don't see people going to therapy. And you don't ever hear people talking about sponsors and going into programs and rehab and things.
That's what happened when you get 42-year-old rappers on your show.
Aren't most rappers in there? Anyway,
everybody
legitimate
raps.
ones. Yeah,
Everybody
I'm just
raps.
saying. Everybody's over 40. Everybody's over 45 right now. You're a young brother.
Yes, I called my friend Eminem. I called my dad. I talked to my mom. I called my wife. I called my little brother that's sitting over there. I called pretty much all of my close people.
And you said what?
I'm stopping. I know. I called my dad. I know when I told him I was stopping, I broke down in tears. When I was talking to Marshall, I told him I was stopping. I broke down in tears. That's how I knew that it was like the feeling was overwhelming. Like even though it didn't start out emotional, when I began to speak about it, it turned emotional. That let me know it was serious.
There are artists that believe that they can only produce great art when they're under the influence. Because I've done some things with some people in the industry, and it's always weed and it's always liquor and it's always, it's like in that state is where they feel the most creative. And I'm like, if you need that to be creative, how talented are you? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it's easy to put yourself in that position. It's like training a puppy to go outside. Like it's basically what you're doing. You're training yourself to think that's what you need, because you're doing it every time you create, so it becomes a trigger. You know what I mean? So it took me maybe a year to be able to write anything.
Wow.
After I stopped, it took me like a year. My rhythm was different. My rhythm was off. Everything.